So let me quickly fill these in and so first things first, let's plug on at the wall. Let's plug on. Hello and welcome to Amiga 2024. This is a series of videos that are done by loads of different YouTube channels, and for the month of May it's all about the Amiga. So we're going to be looking at this today. This is both an Atari and an Amiga mouse. It's one of these universal ones. Not too bad in the way of response, but look at the state of this. Now, somebody's used sellotape to repair the cable. There is a hole through the cable there, and I'm going to guess under here, because that one's actually still sticking surprisingly, there's going to be another one. Okay, without even taking this apart, I can see there's a split here, there's a split here. Yeah, this one is quite bad. So this is going to need stripped and cleaned. We're going to have to do something about this, and something about the condition of this cable. So let's pop this open first of all and see what it's like inside. So like all mice of the era, little door which you can turn and drop out the ball. That will need washed, as will all of this. And I've got two rusty screws, so let's pop them out. So that's the screws out. The mouse will lift and sometimes it will just pop forward. This one's not going to. There is a clip point, so let's see if we can pop that while pushing back. There we go. And the upper shell comes off. Now there's a lot of stickers on this which I'll need to remove. It's also going to need a damn good clean, so let's pop this to the side. We've got our first look at the insides, looking quite clean, but let's pop this board out. And what's left in this lower is the tensioner for the ball, so that hopefully will also pop out. Without losing the spring, of course. And there's the tensioner out. That's all going to need a clean as well. And that's the lower frame, complete with on-off switch, which is quite stuck in there. So again, this is just sprung. So if we're careful, hopefully the plastic will survive and it'll drop out. And now all this can go to the side. And that leaves us with this board. So I'm going to disconnect the cabling. And again, this can go to the side. And that leaves us with the main circuit board. Now, the board itself is not too bad. We've got one single capacitor here, which again is going to be 20 odd years old. So I am going to replace that. We'll put some deoxit in the switch and operate the switch a little bit. We'll do the same, we'll drop some deoxit into the micro switches. But let's see if we can get this cage off and get the plastic off so we can get it clean, get into all the rollers and get those clean. So there we are, there's the rollers. Look at the state of those. Yep, definitely a long overdue clean. Looks like everything will actually come apart if we are careful, because if you break any of this, yeah, forget it. So there's one and two. This isn't too bad, it's just a little bit dusty, so we'll pop this to the side. And now You've got a lot of cleaning on this to do, and that's also quite stiff. That should be fairly free moving. Yes, many years of sitting doing nothing. I think if there's any grease on that, it's kind of rock solid. Okay, let's give all this a bit of a clean, and then we'll look at replacing this cap and the deoxit. So next I'm going to replace the capacitor. It's a 47 UF 16 volts, and the nice thing is there's quite a large area at the back here. There's plenty of room, there's nothing in the way, so I can use a slightly longer cap because it's going to be folded flat, so that's fine. So let's replace that now. And that was nice and quick and easy. We've got the old one, which I could check, but yeah, it's I don't even recognise the brand. It's not a known good brand that I'm aware of, so I'm glad I replaced that with something that's much more fitting. Right, let's get some deoxit in. So the last thing for this board is I'm going to give the transmitters and receivers a bit of a clean, and then we can put the wheels back in with a cage, make sure they're protected, and then we can pop this board to the side. And there we go, that's how easy that is. No rocket science involved, just quick, simple, and hopefully this will now be fully functional and last a good few years yet. So let's pop this to the side and let's have a look at that cable. So with the sellotape out the way, you can see just how bad that cable is. It's yeah, wide open. The cable itself doesn't look like it's damaged, but that's not nice. So what I'm hoping is when I check, we should still have connectivity between the plugs for the mouse inside and the DB9, and I'll make a quick wire map just to show which goes where. Then we can cut this end off and add a new DB9 on in its place. Now before I do that, I'm going to give this a clean because this is absolutely disgusting, and I'll be honest, if I'm going to put some of this inside, I may as well make sure it's all clean first, and at the same time I'll clean the plastics. So back in a moment. So now with the cable cleaned up, maybe not this end but certainly the rest of it, I've made myself a little wire map just looking at the front here, and yeah, this connector is quite bad. So for example, if I look at this one should be green. So if I go on here, find the green, I should get a nice strong signal and nothing on any of the other pins, which is exactly what you expect. However, this end is quite bad, so this should be yellow, which is fine there. However, as I come along, no beep, but look at the reading. The corrosion in the connector at this end is quite bad. So probably just as well this is being replaced, because that would play merry havoc with any mouse. Right, let me get rid of this, and what I'm going to do is actually rebuild the rest of the mouse except for this end, because that'll move all the parts and keep them safe while I work on this. And look at the difference that makes. It's clean, okay. I've managed to clean up the screws a little bit. I might just replace them, but everything else just looks nice, crisp, clean, and good action on the buttons. So let's pop this to the side, and now we can do the unspeakable and cut this cable and put on a new DB9. What I'm going to do is I'm going to first of all tin up the contact points. I'll then clean, prepare and tin up the wires, and to do this I'm going to use a third hand tool because it makes life a little bit easier. These are really cheap, you can just get them off eBay, and it means I can hold it there, I can move it about to different positions. You can use it in various things. It normally has a magnifier that's off here. I rarely use those, but the third hand tool itself is superb. So let me quickly fill these in and prepare the cable. And with the cable all tinned up and the connector prepped, what I'm going to do is pop the connector into the holder. And now if I make sure I get my wiring right, which is what this diagram's for, then I should be able to start and go, okay, yellow should be the first one, followed by orange, followed by red, followed by brown. And I should be able to solder each one of these in turn. Now if I look from the front, I can orientate myself. So if I do that, I know yellow is here and brown is this final one, which when I flip over, brown should be here. So with that all done, we can check. Bottom left should be white, which it is, followed by grey, followed by blue, followed by green, and then above we've got brown, red, orange and yellow. So that's them all connected, and now I can fit it into the casing, and I'm happy in the knowledge that that's exactly how it should be. Now it's going to drop into the casing like this, but it needs strain relief, and that's what this is for. So I'm just going to start it. Now before I tighten it, I'm going to pop it into place, and I actually want a little bit of slack on it, so I'm going to push some excess through, like so. I now know that's the ideal place. Tighten that one, tighten that one, that's now on. Oh, so it's not solid, it's designed for a much thicker cable. That is a problem. So let's quickly undo this, because obviously that won't do. It's not going to act as strain relief if I'm going to be able to pull the whole lot out. So what can I do? Well, the easiest way is if I get a piece of heat shrink, I'm going to put it on. I can't put it over because I've already soldered without taking everything off. But if I put a piece of heat shrink on, slide this over the heat shrink and then tighten down, that'll thicken everything up and should allow me to get a good bite down onto the cable. So I have a very small piece of heat shrink. I'm going to fold it in half to increase its thickness, and then I'm going to catch that, if I can, underneath the clip. And now if I tighten that there, that should hold everything in place. Fingers crossed. Let's see what happens this time. Oh yeah, that's rock solid now, that's not moving anywhere. So now I'm much more comfortable popping that into place and dropping that down. And the idea of the strain relief, you don't want it tight, because if it moves in any way at all, then you're already stressed and you'll just pull everything out. Now before I tighten up, I need to fit these. There's two. Let's drop the top casing on, and now I can pop these through, put the nuts on and tighten them down. And there we go. We have one nice new connector on the mouse cable. It's got strain relief, it can't pull out, it's held in place, and well, hopefully this mouse now works. So let's break out an Amiga and find out. So here we are, ready to test the mouse. It's all plugged in. Follow this cable around and you can see it here. And we're going to be testing it on this Commodore Amiga A500 Plus. Now, I've never owned a 500 Plus before. I bought this from a really nice guy on Gadget UK 164's Discord called Screamo. This came over from Europe. It's just gorgeous. Okay, keys are a little bit yellowed. They do need a little bit of work, but it just looks amazing. Obviously, there are certain characters that do not normally appear in the English language over here in the UK. However, this is now all ready for testing. So first things first, let's switch on at the wall. And now we can switch on the 500. There we go. And there's the Workbench sign. I've got power. And it's Workbench 1.3. Now, I think these originally shipped with Workbench 2, and he did send me a set of ROMs. So I'm going to have to dig out my Workbench 1.3 discs for testing, because typically I grabbed the Workbench 2. So give me 2 seconds. So here we go. Let's drop this in. And there we go, we've powered up. Now, you may have spotted during the boot up that it said battery backed up clock not found, and that's because this is quite a rare 500 Plus. It looks like it was never fitted with the battery backup, and therefore the motherboard's not been eaten by corrosion, which is superb. For a collector like myself, it means this should survive much, much better. I've also not purposefully touched the mouse. So let's find out what happens now. We have a mouse. Got a left mouse button. We got a right mouse button. Superb, and yay, we've got a meg of memory. So this is great. This has worked absolutely perfectly. It's working, it's back to what it should be, and it's nice and clean. It's actually come out really well. I'm very, very happy with that. So, thank you for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and look out for any of the other channels that are doing Amiga, or Amiga as it should be. So, I'll see you on the next mini Byte or full-blown retro crazy.